Good thing that that's not my livelihood.
Good thing we always use our livelihood for what we need and what our gifts are, right?
So for the people who are just joining us, should we introduce who we are and make it a video that anyone can listen to and get something out of that doesn't even know who we are?
Well, sure. All right. So Lisa, do you want to start? Tell us who you are, where you're at in the world, and what it is you do.
Thank you so much. I'm Lisa Betts Marquez, and I live in Gearing, Nebraska. And I am a transformational healer coach. I teach yoga, transformational breath work. I do meditation and my own modality called archetypal gesture. And my goal in life is to be of service to others in helping them to uncover the layers of belief, behavior, and patterns that are inhibiting their stepping into their authentic self. Because I believe that if all of us could do that, if we could all be our authentic self and start being who we are without apology and without trying to fit in or trying to be accepted and liked, that our world would be in a lot better place than it is today. So creating the new earth, the new world involves creating the authentic self and being that for all of us.
I agree. Michelle, tell us about you, where you're at in this world, and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a spiritual life coach. I am in Loveland, Colorado. And what I do is that I help people release negative emotions trapped in their heart space. So that way they can create the positive of their life and their desire. And I do this by using a modality called the Akashic Records. And I found that for my own journey, when I needed to release a lot of negative emotions from my childhood that I was bringing forward and not realizing I was, because, I was practicing law of attraction, but for some reason it wasn't really working. And so that's how I found it. And why I help people now too, because if I can get through my childhood, if you ever know how bad it was, anyone can get through their childhood.
Isn't that the truth? Oh, well, I'm Althea Mitchell. I'm the owner of Direct Emotion. I am certified in the emotion code, and I help people quickly identify, using the emotion code, the trapped emotions that are causing, contributing, that kind of thing, to anything in life, really. I think that's the benefit of being able to find out where it's at and what it's doing, and being able to get it released back out of the physical body so that you can move on. This is going to be such an interesting subject today because of the plain fact of what it is that we do in this world and how it is that we help each other, and being able to have discernment. This is something that is like a critical part, I think, for everybody, not just healers, not just business people, not just anybody, but discernment is something that everybody needs to be able to have. And so we kind of, there's several ways to look at discernment, right? Most of us would agree that like discernment is like, oh, that's good, oh, that's bad, that kind of a thing. We all kind of have this like level of good, bad. Either it's good for us or it's bad for us. Mm-hmm. Cheesecake is good for us.
Right?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
So when we discern, there's a little more that goes into discerning. Wouldn't you agree, ladies? There's a lot that goes into discerning. And so let's kind of talk about how we use discernment, at least for us, that helps us to be able to identify, kind of work through, and kind of help others. Michelle, if you want to start with that, like tell us a little bit how you use discernment and what it is to you and what it means to you, really.
So discernment to me is really going within and checking to see if something is right for you or not. and sticking with that no matter what anyone else is doing around you, and not allowing us to be like play into what other people are doing when it doesn't really feel right. So discernment is that guide that allows us to know what's right for us and what's not right for us. So I always go within, check to see what's going on, where my belief systems are. And then even if it doesn't fit everyone else's narrative, I'm like, this is just me and who I am.
Right. Well, and I think it's so important to understand that. Lisa, what about you? What is discernment to you? How do you use it? And how does it benefit being able to have this discernment?
Yeah, I like what Michelle said. I think that discernment can be kind of boiled down to a truthometer for yourself. But that is not entirely how I see it. For me, discernment is a word that describes the relationship I have with myself, in that I trust what I am receiving from my higher self. So it's the relationship with your higher self, being able to quiet your mind, because mind has absolutely nothing to do with discernment. Nothing, in my opinion. Your discernment has everything to do with your spirit and being able to connect with the still small voice within you. It can be as simple as, heading out for the day and hearing that little voice that says, maybe you should take your umbrella today. And it's always kind and sweet and suggestive, but never mean or sharp or insistent. And you always have choice to listen or not. So if you have a good relationship with your higher self, your discernment will say, oh, I better run back inside and get my umbrella. And then later at 3 p.m., when you are going outside and it's raining, you'll be thankful that you listened to your higher self and that you have that discerning relationship. If you said, nah, I'm not in the mood, or I don't think so, it's supposed to be, the weather report says it's going to be sunny all day, that's putting your faith and your trust in your relationship with an external source, which is the weatherman, instead of your higher self, which actually always will steer you correctly. Always. Like every time I have not listened to my discerning higher self, I'm disappointed in myself, because I find later that it would have gone much nicer if I had listened. So I think of it as that relationship with the higher self and having faith in that guidance.
Well, and I agree with it, because, I've always been taught that it's a gift. The gift of discernment is a gift. And when we have this gift, it's the ability to use it for what it's designed for. And you can increase the gift or you can decrease the gift. And so it's like being able to use this discernment. Like it is, I think it's imperative. Now, a lot of us, like we've talked about, a lot of us kind of, go along and we put it off. I don't know when I've ever done that, but my whole life. And so as we get into this, like seriously, like this is such a good particular foundation, because I think when we have a good discernment level, it allows us to do so much more. It allows us to connect with the right people. It allows us to be able to connect with the things that are for our good, and not only our good, but the people that are in our little circles, because it's like there's a lot of connection that goes through discernment. As a parent, you teach your small children, discernment. Like if you're going to make that choice, then I get to make a choice as well. This gift of discernment allows us to be able to exercise that next gift of agency, right? That ability to choose. And how critical is this in our processes, in our daily lives, in our businesses? Because there's a couple of different aspects that I want to discuss about this. One is something that I've been seeing quite frequently on several different group posts of different groups that I'm in. And it's always kind of the same question. And the question that they always ask is, as a healer, there's bad energy trying to get in to see me all the time. What do I need to do to protect myself? Now, I find that to be quite an interesting question, wouldn't you? Like, because this is that discernment of like, how do you know, right? How do you discern what are good clients, what are bad clients? But yet there's this conflict of we're supposed to help everybody. So just kind of play around with that. Let's talk about that for just a minute, because when we're trying to help people, isn't it everybody that gets the help? Isn't it everybody that gets to have this process or this ability to correct or to heal? You're shaking your head, Lisa. So what's going on?
Well, thank you for asking me to weigh in here. I am a firm believer in knowing who you can help and knowing who is a time waster. So when I say time waster, I am not condemning some poor soul to a lifetime of misery and, blocking them, shutting the door to healing. What I'm referring to more has to do with frequency. I forget where I learned this, but I was taught many years ago that you are able to learn from people who have a vibrational frequency 3 levels above you. And you are able to teach people who have a vibrational frequency 3 levels below you. Anywhere else above that, beyond that, below that, you cannot learn from, you cannot teach. And so in this world of people just putting their information everywhere on Facebook and on social media and having websites, people can discover you anywhere in any way and feel like drawn to you, but that doesn't mean they have the capacity to learn from you. And so, you can, as a healer, you can do discerning practices such as sitting in quiet meditation on the person's name and energy and determine whether this person is the right one for you, or you can meet with them once. I think meeting with them once is always a good idea, because you may find that there's someone that works in a specific capacity that can help them better than you can. And you can always, sort of pass them on, and it's not painful, and it's not, it's just a very subtle boundary, but you close that door gently, but you move them along on their way and move on to those folks who can help you or that you can help. And so, it's true of teachers too. We've all probably seen people, presenters at conferences or, YouTube videos, and we're just like, I just don't know. I'm not understanding what they're talking about. It's intriguing, and when I encounter that, I just put a little file in my mental shelf, and I visualize my mental shelf almost like a bookshelf. And if in, 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years, another piece comes in and that connects with that, I'll dust that file off, put it together and start exploring. But if it just dies on the shelf, then it wasn't meant for me. So, we never should be afraid to encourage a person to move along. And you can also fire a client when you've worked with them for a period of time and it's clear you can't help them because they're not making progress, whether that's because they don't do the work or because they've become somehow addicted to your energy, which makes them feel charged up for a little while, and then they come back for more. You know, I fired a few clients like that, and these are people I just adored and loved, and was, you know, they were paying me on regular basis, and I appreciated that and all of the things and spending time with them. But one day, you know, I would come to the conclusion that they weren't growing because they weren't doing the homework, they weren't doing the work, they were using me, and I could no longer allow it. And so I simply stopped being available. And if they pushed me, then I would say, you know, I am doing this because I want to help people, and I'm not seeing progress here. So perhaps I am not the right person for you. Maybe you need to seek another person to work with. And, you know, but I miss your one-on-one yoga sessions, but I miss, you know, seeing you. And it's like, well, you know, come to a group class. Come to a group yoga class. This is my schedule. Come to a breathwork class. This is my schedule, you know, and I just wouldn't let them have my one-on-one time anymore because it's too precious and needs to be available for people I can help.
I totally agree with that. Michelle, what's your take on it? I mean, because this is such an important topic. I mean, it really is. So let's hear what you have to say on the matter, Michelle.
Totally agree with Lisa. For, you know, we all have our little area that we know we can help. And we all know, like, I ask those questions with my potential clients when I'm doing a consultation to see if they're actually willing to do the work. Because, you know, like every healer, we're going to open up those doorways. But if they're not willing to do that work, if they're just going to come back day or week after week for that little, like, oh my God, I'm addicted to you, like they do with those self-help programs. It's really interesting how they kind of get attached to us as if we're that 12-step program. And I'm like, no, I want to be that 13th step. I want to be that step where you get to be out on your own, doing your own stuff. And this is where I'm at. I want you to outgrow me and find somebody new. So yeah, I mean, I totally get how, you know, we have to have that discernment. We have to have our clientele within that, you know, 6-level range. So that way we can move it through and actually help them. I mean, for me, if they're 3 levels behind me, I actually put them in a beginner program to see if they're actually willing to do the work. And I actually won't take them on until I know they're willing to do the work.
Well,
and so for me, it's more just like a little consultation a week for like 15 minutes going, hey, how's your week going? What have you done to improve it? And if they're saying nothing when I gave them some tools, then I know by the end of a month that they're not willing to do it. And so I'm not going to offer any of my other programs to really help them get through it.
Well, and I think that is key, because so I think if this is something that people struggle with, right? This level of how can we help, who can we help kind of a thing, then I think we got to really evaluate. Sometimes maybe we are feeling insecure, maybe we are feeling like a lack of, and it keeps us taking those clients that are codependent, I guess, for a lack of a better word, because those are the ones who really do in the beginning start to heal, start to do things, and then they become very reliant on that. And that's not what any of our positions are for. We're to help each other to grow, to develop, to become independent, and also to be able to be useful to the world, right? Not to become codependent, you know, people. So I think this discernment of recognizing, like, okay, these are my limitations. Unfortunately, I don't have the gifts of, you know, fire. I'll never get that gift yet, because I will misuse it.
Yes, you
But when we are learning how to, you know, be able to work with our own limitations, because even us as healers, we're still learning and growing and developing and moving on. And of course, sometimes when we are to the next level, it does promote other people to encourage them to go to the next level. But being able to discern, like, these are my limits and I can only do so much. I can only do my part. It's up to you to do your part. So being able to discern, like, what is my part and what is your part, that is huge when it comes to getting a good, solid client base. But not only that, those great referrals where other people are referring people to you because you help them discover, that kind of stuff. Now, this is kind of interesting because it's like when we start discovering this gift of discernment and learning how to use it, even though we've had it all along, we just never paid attention to it or choose to ignore it or chose to be like, yeah, it's somebody else's responsibility. Right? So when we start doing this, it tends to get us wrapped up into kind of like our everyday stuff, right? This mundane, like, I've got this schedule. I have to do this schedule. And if I don't get this schedule done, then everything is falling apart. And if one thing, I've got 45 minutes for this and 15 minutes for that and 20 minutes for this. And if one thing goes over, nightmare, right? So how do we encourage people to start exercising and learning how to use this gift of discernment? Michelle, what is your take on that? What are some things that they can do to start learning how to utilize this gift of discernment so that they can get out of this ball of muck, really, this ball of chaos and confusion that, well, leads them to, like, there is really something wrong with me. So what can we do? What are some steps that they can take that will help them start to utilize and to develop this gift of discernment?
So one of the things I talk to my clients about is that you really need to get to know who you are, what you like, what you enjoy. So that way you also can figure out where your boundaries are at, your own personal boundaries, not somebody's boundaries you're going to put on somebody else, but your own personal boundaries. So when something comes in, you can go, no, that doesn't feel right to me. And it's growing that intuition skill of and listening to it more and more, because it's a muscle. And like every other muscles, if we don't use it, it goes away. It'll like get packed south. Probably not a good idea right now because of the weather, but normally it's like, I'm out of here. And so we really need to just really know who we are. I mean, that is the biggest thing with discernment, is to understand, especially with spiritual gifts, who we are, which ones align with us, which ones don't. I also tell my clients that, when you're learning this, if you hear that voice or that you get that nudge, and if it's going to cause our drama, it is not of the light, and you want to say thank you, but no thanks. I mean, that is the biggest thing with discernment too, is like, as we open up and we grow these muscles, sometimes we're going to get some not so healthy ideas that come in, and we need to go, nope, that's going to cause drama. Drama is not of the light. So I'm going to say, no, thank you.
I think that is key point. Lisa, what do you think? What are some steps that can add and build on that, or take you down a different aspect of discernment, how to develop discernment?
It's such a big, big, big topic for me. So I love what Michelle said about how you have to get to know yourself. And what I find is the biggest challenge to developing discernment is our modern life. I believe that our modern life has been shaped and created for us to keep us in a very specific frame of focus. And so let's say if you're a parent, right, there are all these expectations in your mind that the society has for you. You may feel like, oh my gosh, My kid has to get into a decent college, which means he has to be overscheduled and has to have about, 10 different outside activities, so that when he fills out his college application, he can say he did this and this and this. And oh my gosh, he needs to be the captain, and he has to be really good, and he has to be a starter, and he has to, or he has to get A's, So you're all of these expectations of what kind of parent you're going to be and your child is going to be. And so your focus becomes, getting your kid fed and shunting him around all of these activities. And then, you have to work, of course, and all of those expectations. And then any minute that you have to yourself, you're probably on your phone, doing this and wondering what the other mothers are doing. And, oh, look at all those. Oh, wow. Like, she's got such a beautiful family. And like, oh man, my family's a mess. And, there's just all this constant stress and expectation. And then you're thinking, I'm not good enough. Am I doing this right? Am I screwing up my kids? Are my kids okay? Am I okay? Oh my gosh, my husband wants me to do this and I don't have time. And, I burned the toast and, who knows what else? My house is a mess, right? The laundry needs doing. So there's just a million different things that are constantly at you, and they're all external, all of them. Everything external is bullshit. I know it feels like it's the most important thing in the whole wide world, but it's not. And we have to learn how to take our power back and say, no, son, you will do one sport this semester and one academic activity, and that's it. Because that's all the time and energy I have to give to that. And the rest of the time you will be resting, or you will be with friends, or you will be studying, or you will be having family time, and we will all be just fine. And you'll be able to focus and hone your energy. So, we're at a place in our society where we're in several generations in to being overextended and too busy, and then get rid of this. Not that you need to throw it away. It's a tool that we can use, but catch yourself when you're mindlessly scrolling and checking that thing all the time, because that's valuable time when you could be placing your hand on your heart and closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. And even just 2 minutes of that, when you get in your car after work, just sit there before you rush on to the next thing. Stop your brain, stop thinking about anything you have to do, and just take a little transition. 5 minutes, 2 minutes, breathe, close your eyes, come gently back to yourself. And then ask your heart, what is the most important thing next? What is really important right now? And wait for the answer. It will hopefully float up in like a little bubbly, and then you'll know. It's like you don't have to sit and meditate for an hour every day, although wouldn't that be nice? What I've started to do is I've been doing it for a while now, but I get up in the morning before dark and I sit on my yoga mat and I just breathe. I put my hands together like this in my lap and I just close my eyes and I breathe, and I think of it as like lung stretching. It's like stretching my lungs, giving my organs a little warm up to, hey, I'm awake, I'm upright, let's breathe deeply. And then, you can imagine how your day is going to go. You can intend, set intentions. You can pray for people, pray for yourself. Don't have to say anything out loud. Just feel it, think it, and then get up, make your coffee, whatever, move on. And you can do that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as long as you wish. And you just find the time for yourself. And once you're able to do that and place your needs into the mix of a million to-dos. And that happens first. It's like putting on the oxygen mask first for you. Then you can help your son. Then you can help your spouse. Then you can serve your job and all the needs of the community that you are responsible for. But you will do so from a place of strength and stillness. But what I see right now in the modern world is most people I encounter cannot even sit still for a moment, can't even keep their eyes closed, cannot be comfortable with silence.
Mm-hmm.
And that, more than anything at all, is the way to begin to develop your discernment. Mm-hmm. And pay attention to what your body is doing too. Well, I get goosebumps all the time.
Yeah.
And I know that that's truth when I get goosebumps all over. So.
Well, and I think these little steps like this is, you know, it really is, this is something that it takes a little bit of time to develop, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it to develop this particular gift of discernment, you know, and it's, every time I hear the word discernment, there's a movie, the Runaway Bride, Julia Roberts and okay. So in there, like, I love the fact that there is a movie that can also kind of put this into a visual for us. And so, you know, as this guy is meeting her and he's trying to figure out why she keeps running away at the altar all the time, then he finally asks her, he's like, what kind of eggs do you like? She's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, do you like scrambled eggs? Do you like this? She's like, oh, I don't know. And so she comes down the next morning and there is every type of egg. Like, this is a story that I have used many, many times. Like, do you know if you like eggs Benedict? No, I've never had it. Well, then you don't know. So you need to be able to try this. Now, here's where the tricky part comes in. You do not need to try everything all at once. And this is where the discernment comes in, because a lot of people are like, well, I was told I got to try everything. How do I know if I don't want, that I don't like LSD if I've never tried it? Maybe I like acid. Okay, reasonable. There is this common sense that tells us, like, okay, you got to be reasonable. But there are those people that when they're learning how to do this, like, the mind is unreasonable because it has been so lacking of. So it's like taking these few steps to breathe, center yourself, understand what it is you like. You know, it's funny, you'll take the test to find out what kind of potato you are, or take the test to find out, you know, how this is affecting you or that's affecting you. But what's your favorite color? Do you really like your children? Do you really, do you like yourself? So being able to find out these key points to you is, I think, crucial. I think it is.
So, Althea?
Yes.
Can I just say one thing about the egg scene?
Sure.
What is really significant to me about that scene is the fact that every boyfriend she had, she thought she would try whatever egg they ordered, and that would be her favorite. And then she'd run away at the altar and get a new boyfriend or fiance, and then she would switch to his egg dish. And that's what she would do as a pattern over and over again. And she tried the same thing with the new guy who's like, that's what I like. What do you like? And so this is what we often do, is we take on what we think others will accept us for. And we don't know who we are, because we want others to love us, others to.
Well, and this is kind of one of those things that I think is kind of a good basic question. I was listening to a gentleman. Now I can see his face, but now his name is like, and he asked the question that was so important. And I pondered this like a lot. And I was like, wow, I've never thought about a question this much before. But his question is, can you accept the fact that you're not broken? And I was like, maybe. Let me read a book and see if I decide. Right? Because, this is the basic question. Like, we all think there is something wrong with us.
Mhm.
And we're out on a mission to find out, oh, maybe it's time management. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. Okay, maybe it's the diet. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe it's the clothes I wear. Okay, maybe I need pantsuits. And maybe that's what's wrong with me. Or maybe it's because I'm wearing pantsuit. Maybe that is what's wrong with me. What is wrong with me? And can we really ever accept the fact that what happens if we discover that we're not broken? What happens to us when we discover we do have the answers? Discernment, right? Sitting there, kind of pondering these questions about, like, okay, what is it I like? What is it about me? What is it that I like in other people? What draws me to them? What makes me want to be around them just for laughs and learning and strategizing? Because, even when we go into creating mastermind groups, which is something that, we all get exposed to, right? In all of our healing modalities and all this kind of stuff, we all talk about creating mastermind groups, like people that we connect with that are like-minded, so that we can keep encouraged about what we're doing. So when we're learning what we really like, I mean, there's been several modalities that I have given up just because I'm like, that was good at the beginning, just doesn't fit anymore. Or I'm not sure why I even like that one. But that's what I needed at the particular moment. I just needed that modality for a little while and then was able to move on or do something else. So I think this being able to find out what you like, being able to sit there for just a moment and feel how it resonates within you. And then kind of ask yourself the question, like, can I accept that this isn't good for me? Or can I accept that this is good for me? Because sometimes we resist those things that really are good for us, and why. This is one of those challenging parts of discernment, because, like, if everybody understood it, like you said, Lisa, like, we'd never make a wrong choice. Like, you would never disagree with that information, like, take your umbrella. We wouldn't be like, why should I take my umbrella? Who's telling me to take my umbrella? And that kind of stuff. But there's many times when we do just that exact thing. So being able to learn how to sit there and find out what we like, and can we accept that maybe this is for our highest and best? If we want to take them steps to improve and to grow and to learn, then it's key to have discernment, but it's very important we learn how to use it so that it can really do us the benefit. Is there a set time? This is a question. I've always been fascinated. Like, is there a set time that it takes you to learn discernment? Lisa?
Oh, I think it's an unfolding journey your whole life long. I mean, I think what the old yogis and the sages say, I thought I knew everything, and then I got to the point where I realized I knew nothing. And that was the best, that was the highest level of spiritual maturity, is to know and recognize that you know nothing. And, it's actually what I've been trying to practice in this crazy time that we've been in since 2020 of, my discernment has included always, I don't know. I think that this is true. I feel that this is true. My discernment tells me masks are bullshit. Excuse me. My discernment tells me this. But then there's a part of me that's willing to say, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And to sit with that and be comfortable with I don't know is actually a really beautiful place to be. To just give yourself permission to not know have all the answers, to just be open and observing and aware of the fact that you have been given this much information, and it's been very specifically directed between these two frames, and the truth and the possibility is like this. Mm-hmm. And someday, our perception might open to all of that. We might be shown more. But for now, instead of just being here and going, I believe this, I'm going to be like, I don't know. I am willing and open to other, awarenesses. And that's something about being a human being that I think is really challenging for us. Our entire lives have been framed for us. This is what you are. This is not, you're not this, you're not this. You can't be this. Don't go there. This is where your life is going to be. This is who you are. And we are trained every time we go to the doctor and we fill out all the forms about who we are. We're trained to label ourselves. I'm female. I'm white. I'm, Nebraskan. I'm, whatever religion I am. Labels, 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 boxes, boxes, boxes. And I met this very interesting woman when I worked in a restaurant in Georgetown in DC. And I found her very fascinating. She didn't talk a lot. And she was really beautiful. And one time I just asked her, I said, so, what do you do outside of work? What are you into? And she looked at me and she gave me this kind of scowly look and asked me why I wanted to know. And I said, well, I'm just making conversation, just want to get to know you a bit. And she was like, why? And I was like, it just seems like the friendly thing to do. And I just pondered this woman for the longest time. She never did give me any information at all. And I pondered her for a long time. And I realized she didn't want to be labeled. She didn't want to be in a box. And I thought that is so powerful and so empowering, and I'm one of those people that loves to explore new things. I got my first horse 2 years ago and I'm 53 years old and people were shocked. And I got my first dog, like maybe I think 9 years ago and people were shocked. You're a cat person, Lisa. How do you know I'm not a dog person too? Like, what? Don't tell me I can't be a dog person. Don't tell me I can't be a horse person. Don't tell me what I can't be, ever. Mm-hmm. Don't ever tell me what I am not. I will tell you what I am and what I'm not. That's my job. And I reserve the right to always reinvent myself and become something new that you don't expect. So with me, if you're my friend or an observer of my life, the thing you should expect is the unexpected, because I will not be labeled.
I think that is a very good thing.
Yeah. And all humans need that. We need to be free. We need freedom. True freedom is the ability to be whatever you want to be and who you want to be in all circumstances at any time, and to not worry about what others think about it. It's just not their business.
I agree.
And so many of us have the layers of I'm not good enough, and do they like me, and am I doing it right? And so that's where our work comes in, is helping people to slough all that off and recognize that the true power is to be who you want to be and not ever apologize for it.
I agree. I always tell everybody, if you want to be my friend, take that expectation, now lower it. Lower it a little more. Because this is not, a lot of it, is based on the way we were brought up. We have developed traits and personality techniques and, these different behaviors that were not important then. And sometimes they haven't become important now. And a lot of people struggle with that. They call it formalities or whatever. But Michelle, of course, we're getting ready to end this one. And of course, you guys are going to be taking this to another level this evening at 6 o'clock. So anybody that's listening to this one, if you want to catch the second round, it'll be happening at 6 o'clock tonight, 6:30.
6:30.
Thank you, Michelle. It's 6:30 tonight. And so, Michelle, kind of give us this exit clause, I guess, to bring our show to a close today. Kind of give us an exit strategy of, like, when we are discerning an ending of particular people in our life, what are there some things that we can be aware of? Are there some steps that we can take, to kind of check in? Maybe it is time to let go of somebody. Maybe it is time to let go of a teacher or a healer or a friend or something else. What are some steps that we can take to build that discernment of when it's time to let go?
So I have realized that over the time of my transformation, that as I allowed more of my true self to come out, the ones who were not ready for it or did not agree with it just kind of fell off, and new ones just showed up. So it's not like you're never ever without. It was just, okay, this is who I am. When I brought up my spiritual gifts and everything else, and people like, oh my God, no way. A lot of people kind of fell off, and then new ones popped in. So every stage, as long as we stay open, that is, I think, is also the key. We need to stay open to wanting to learn, because as soon as also we think we've arrived, that is also when discernment leaves. When we think we know it all, which, we never ever know it all. Discernment kind of also just kind of walks out that door, and we kind of just get stuck then with that group of whoever they are. That is not going to allow us to move and grow either, because we're not staying open.
Right. Well, and I think that is the overall key for discernment, learning how to use this very unique talent and gift. Like, it is something that takes time to develop, just like learning how to tie your shoe, just like learning how to walk, just like learning how to put the food correctly from the spoon into your mouth. It is something that is developed with time. It is sometimes can be really fun, and sometimes it can be very painful, like tying your shoelaces together. It can be that helpful. And so being able to be open to it, being able to be aware of really what you're feeling inside, because there are sometimes when we get those flashes where we automatically have the answer of no or yes, and we need to be able to pay attention to that. One of the key things, I think, like Lisa said, is kind of clearing out the clutter, taking that time to really listen. Because when the time comes and you get that direct yes or no, you need to be able to pay attention to it. We have seen many stories of where it has been life-saving, where it has come in at a crucial point and it's been loud enough that regardless of what's been going on, the person has been able to hear it. And it allows us to do extraordinary things with our lives. Mm-hmm. So being able to develop this gift, like take it easy, take it slow, take it as you go, right? And learn to just love it every step of the way. Embrace the ability to learn and discern. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, ladies, thank you so much for having another roundtable discussion today on discernment, because I think it is so important. I think it is great that we're all connecting this way, and I hope that it helps the viewing audience. And I hope that if they have any questions, they post them. They can message Michelle, they can message Lisa, they can message me. They can get a hold of any of us and bring up these things. Also, if our viewing audience has an idea of what they would like to see discussed, maybe they should pipe in and let us know some of the things that they would like to see discussed in a roundtable. Michelle has been able to kind of line out about 6 more classes. Is that right?
Yeah, just 5 more.
Okay. So after that, feel free to kind of pitch in your ideas for topics of discussion. This is how we learn. This is how we grow. This is how we get such a unique perspective. And it's wonderful to be able to tie it all together. So ladies, thank you for being here today. And Michelle, again, thank you for putting this on and hosting the event. And thanks for letting me kind of be the moderator again. I like this role.
Totally welcome. I love that you're actually being the moderator, because if I'm the moderator, I'm too much in my head, and then I'm not connected in my body to be able to get anything out correctly.
Well, and being able to participate this way, like, it is phenomenal. You ladies are phenomenal. Just know that, like, I love this group. I won't be participating tonight, but you're going to have a great group tonight.
Yes.
And I hope that it's just as enlightening as it has been today. And I hope that other people can start joining us on the 11 o'clock hour. But either way, I love us. So until next time, I hope everybody has a great day and enjoy this evening and have a great weekend. And I'll definitely see you guys next Friday.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you Friday. Bye-bye.